Have you ever really stopped to ask yourself, who's in the driver's seat of your own mind? I mean, who's actually holding the steering wheel? And maybe more importantly, where are they taking you? Today, we're going to dive deep into that, exploring the science of how our thoughts really do shape our reality.
Mahatma Gandhi laid out this perfect chain reaction. It's this incredible domino effect, right? Where one single thought can kick off a process that ends up defining your entire destiny. This isn't just some nice-sounding quote. It's basically a blueprint for how our inner world builds our outer one.
And then Rumi, he takes it a step further. He basically says, you are your thoughts. The rest of you, that's just flesh and bones. Think of a rose, you become a rose garden. Think of thorns, you get the idea. This is the whole core of what we're talking about today. Our thoughts aren't just these random clouds floating by. They're the actual soil our entire life grows out of. So what's the psychology behind all this?
Well, it really all comes down to a fundamental choice you make, probably without even realizing it. Are you the driver of your life, or are you just a passenger? And this isn't just a metaphor. It's a huge concept in psychology called the locus of control.
So what does that actually mean? Well, simply put, your locus of control is all about where you believe power comes from. Is it inside you, or is it from outside forces? Things like luck, fate, other people. As we're about to see, your answer to that question changes absolutely everything.
So you can see the two paths so clearly here. On one side, you've got the driver. They have an internal locus of control. The first question is, okay, what can I do about this? They feel proactive, empowered. But on the other side, you've got the passenger. They have an external locus, and they say, there's nothing I can do. It's that feeling of powerlessness that can lead straight to what psychologists call a depressive attribution style.
Now, that feeling of being in control, that's the engine for optimism. But hold on, we're not talking about some bubbly personality you're just born with. No, we're talking about optimism as a practical tool, a mental skill that you can actually learn and get better at.
And get this. This tool has some serious real-world power. There was a study on heart transplant patients, and it found that the ones who simply had positive expectations before the surgery had a much better physical recovery and adapted to life better afterward. Just think about that. Your belief system can literally change your physical outcome. That's the mind-body connection right there.
So how do we build this skill? Well, the key idea is called learned optimism. And the most important word there, the one you really need to hear, is learned. It's not about winning the genetic lottery. It's a mental muscle you strengthen with practice. It's all about how you interpret the setbacks we all inevitably face.
But we have to be really careful here, because there's a huge difference between healthy optimism and what we might call unrealistic optimism. Unrealistic optimism is dangerous. It's when you just ignore risks, like the smoker who says, lung cancer only happens to other people. That's denial. A healthy optimist sees the risk and says, okay, this is real and I can quit with a good plan. One leads to inaction, the other leads to problem solving.
Okay, so if it's a skill, how do we actually practice it? Well, it all comes down to the stories we tell ourselves, especially in those first few moments right after something goes wrong. Psychologists have a name for this, your explanatory style.
You see, it's not the event itself that causes our emotional reaction. It's our immediate automatic thought about the event. You know how it is. You send a text, you see it's been read, but no reply. The event itself is neutral, but if your automatic story is, oh no, they're mad at me, you instantly feel that pit of anxiety. The story is what creates the emotion, not the event.
Let's look at this breakdown. The event is the same for both people, a failed job interview. Now, the pessimistic story is a recipe for disaster. It's internal, I'm the problem. It's permanent, I'll never get a job. And it's global, my whole life is a failure. Yikes. But look at the optimistic story. It's external, the position wasn't the right fit. It's temporary, I can do better next time. And it's specific, it was just one interview. One story leads to giving up. The other leads to trying again. And when you practice telling yourself these better stories over and over, what you're really doing is building your ultimate mental defense system, psychological resilience. You can literally think of it as your mind's immune system.
Resilience isn't about being bulletproof or never feeling pain. Come on, life hits all of us. Resilience is all about how well you bounce back. It's the strength you build by going through the storms, not by hiding from them.
So what actually goes into building that resilience? Well, you can see the key ingredients here. Things like self-esteem, hope, coping skills, but notice what's right in the middle of it all. Learned optimism.
It's a foundational piece. All of these work together to create a mental framework that helps you handle whatever life decides to throw at you.
Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but where's the proof? Is there any hard data to back this up? You bet there is. Let's look at the science because the payoffs here are real and they are measurable.
So first up, let's talk about this incredible study. Way back in 1960, researchers took over 800 people, and based on personality tests, they sorted them into two groups, optimists and pessimists. And then they just watched for 30 years.
The results were, honestly, they're staggering. Over those 3 decades, the group of pessimists had a 19% higher rate of mortality. Just let that sink in for a second. Your outlook on life, measured just once, was a significant predictor of whether you'd still be alive 30 years down the road. This isn't just about feeling good. We are talking life and death.
Okay, so mindset clearly has a huge impact. But here's the next big question. Can it actually be changed? Can you teach it? Well, a study in 2001 decided to put that exact idea to the test with a group of students.
And the results on this chart are crystal clear. The students who went through the training program, that's the tall bar, developed a way stronger belief that they could control what happened in their lives. And it wasn't just a feeling. Their grades actually improved. They fundamentally strengthened their sense of who's in charge, their internal locus of control.
So, the bottom line from all this research is pretty clear. Optimism isn't just some fluffy feeling. It is a learnable, trainable skill. And it has powerful, measurable effects on everything from our success to our health, and yes, even to how long we get to live.
And that right there brings us to the most powerful takeaway from all of this. You have the power to train your own mind. You are not stuck. Saying, oh, that's just my personality, I'm just a pessimistic person, that's not an excuse anymore. It's really just a sign of being untrained. You have the ability to grab the steering wheel.
But, and this is a big but, it's not always that simple, is it? We've been talking all about individual power, but what about the world we live in? What if you're in a toxic job or a pessimistic culture? How much can our own mind training really do when the system itself pushes back? It leaves us with a really tough question to chew on. Where does our individual responsibility to change our mind end, and our collective responsibility to change the world we live in begin?